And we are rolling. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 1 of KC Insight, the
Hello.
new Kantai collection podcast talk show thing that we are attempting to start. We thought it'd be kind of interesting to do this. We feel like there's nothing really like this in the community yet, so thought it'd be kind of cool to go over recent news, recent events, new stuff in the game, maybe talk about some historical context and cool stuff from that perspective, talk about some of the numbers, strategies, cool stuff there. And in the future, we do plan to try to get some guests on, bigger people in the community who can give us a perspective from, what they do in the game or what they do around the Kantai collection community. So to start us off, we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. Sol, you want to start us off?
Sure. So I'm Sol, and I mostly stay around in the Reddit Discord, I guess, and some smaller ones, but I mostly stay there doing help-related things, staying in hashtag help, and just keeping up to date on the new things, basically how the game works. So yeah, that's basically what I do.
Yes, I'm Y7. My full Discord handle is shown beneath me, but you'll never hear anybody, including myself, use it. Personally, well, I've been playing just a bit before Spring 16, even though I didn't learn Spring 16 was happening until 2 days after it actually started. Not a lot of good memories from that event, no. So, mostly I just hang out in the Reddit Discord where I do act as a mod. I'm mostly in the help channel, though I do also check out the general chats as well. Mostly, aside from that, I don't really do much else for the community at all. Mostly just helping new people figure out where the resources are, how to do things, general basics like that. I do actually know quite a bit more about the game mechanics than I tend to act, but not quite as much to death with Sol, who's actually number crunching. Aside from that, mostly I'm playing to collect. Kiso is my number 1 ship, but I do have also Warspite, Richelieu, and Ark Royal on the way to getting ringed. But aside from that, that's basically about it for me. Ash?
Actually, do you have Iowa, Y7? Okay.
Once again, I learned Spring 16 was happening 2 days into Spring 16 happening.
Okay, yeah. So, anyways, I'm Eeshwan. I started playing the very end of December of 2015, so Winter 16 was my first event. I've been playing pretty regularly since then, a little bit of a break between Spring 16 and Summer 16, but other than that, pretty much straight through. I'm in, the large Discord. I'm in a lot of the bigger Discords. I'm on Reddit. I hang out on JP and shitpost sometimes. But other than that, I mostly hang out in smaller Discords. I haven't worked on too many community projects. I've helped out a little bit on NKC Wiki and some other things like that. But other than that, no big project contributions. I do. My favorite ship is Kiso as well. So 2 out of 3 there. But mostly just playing to try to collect most of, pretty much all the non-trophy ships, I guess you could say, and some of those. And that's about it. So, now that you know more about us, we'll get into some of our content. The first thing we'd like to talk about is some news and current events. Obviously,
oh boy.
the most recent kind of big thing was the Saratoga Kaitu patch. So, first of all...
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I swear to God, half of that was ruined by DU, Def Usagi. I'm also not going to refer to her by full title ever. Half of the hype of the patch was somewhat, not ruined, I would say, but dampened by just how much she was pushing it out. I was like, chill. Chill. I get it.
Don't you like
Saratoga?
Hundreds of it, like half a year before it actually happened or something?
Oh god, it was announced way back. You're going to have to correct me on this, Ash. I remember it being announced in a Competiq, I can't pronounce it, article way back in winter, just before the new year, if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
sometime in December 2016.
It was like just after her event, it got announced as like, in the coming year thing. So that was kind of funny. But it was never explicit. It was large. I think it was like, or no, was it? It was explicit. It was explicit at that time, wasn't it?
The article said Saratoga
Okay.
would get a Kaini in
Right.
the upcoming year, but in the lead up to the event, it wasn't really stated as such. It was, if I recall correctly, the translation came out to something like a foreign large carrier will be
Right.
receiving Kaini this
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And the instant DU caught wind of that, she just pushed it really hard.
I thought that was actually funny because then everybody started memeing on it, like, oh man, Arc Royal K2, Graph K2.
To be fair, I wanted Arc Royal K2. I was like, oh man, Arc Royal hit. By the ways, we haven't really mentioned our roles aside from me mentioning Soul is the numbers guy. I'm actually acting as the historian guy. So, but yes, historically speaking, Arc Royal in game is noticeably weaker than what she should be because she should be closer to Soryu. She should be closer to Carrier Division 2 in terms of stats, in my opinion. But I can't have anything nice.
That's funny. But yeah, so basically, this patch came out and it was very 90% plus it was going to be Saratoga, but so it comes out and I think one of the big points of contention was what is she going to be, right? So is she going to be a true CVN night carrier, or is she going to be, an armored carrier? Is she going to be both? And they give us another remodel one,
I'm just glad they don't force us to pay a blueprint every time we have to remodel her from night carrier to armored carrier.
Yeah, that would.
I feel like they kind of made her convertible so they didn't have to give her any stock equipment.
Yeah.
It does feel a bit like that, definitely, because holy fuck, those Hellcat repair upgrade costs are killer.
Yeah, those quests are interesting.
To an F4, F4 to F6, F5 max is over 200 screws if you even slide a bit of it.
Oh god.
Yeah,
I still have to actually upgrade my Wildcat 4 to Hellcats.
Yeah, it's some pretty insane costs.
It's gonna take forever.
And we knew they were coming, with the ranking rewards that had just come out. So everybody, oh god, what are they going to make us do to get these without ranking? And they made it tough.
It's not the worst, at least in my opinion. This is my strict opinion. The equipment they give at least somewhat justifies the cost. Whereas something like fucking bulges, goddamn.
Yeah, in comparison to stuff like improvable bulges or improvable turbines, I mean even 5% post cap evasion, ooh, like big deal,
Yeah, like being able to do night attacks with carriers, which if I'm understanding correctly, Soul's gonna have to correct me on this, does a crap ton of damage.
Yeah, it certainly can do large amounts of damage when set up properly.
Yeah, because it doesn't use even if it doesn't cut in, even just the new night formula is new and doesn't or can cap at night, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it now takes into account the firepower stat, torp stat, and ASW stat for some reason, and slot sizes. So.
Yeah, so at least it gives a noticeable benefit compared to plus max super large bulge, plus max turbine / engine.
Right. And actually, skipping a little bit in the things here, but I actually have a chart up here of the night cut-ins where the multipliers are so you have this chart is pretty much complete now. You have I think it was Nishisonic or whoever put out a tweet about there's 3 categories of the night cut-in. There's like A, B, and C. C being the worst is you have a night fighter and you have at least 3 of like night planes. And when I say night planes, that's any of them. That's the true night fighters, the true night bombers, and then any of the swordfish, and then it's only the EY fighter bomber right now, right?
Yeah, for dive bombers, it's the only one. It's like we're converting it to a bomber instead of keeping it a fighter.
Right. So there's that is the quote unquote weakest of the three, and that's already a 1.18 multiplier. And then you have the 1.2, which is a night fighter and the TBM 3D, and then you have the best of the new night cut-ins, which is 1.25 multiplier, and that's having 2 night fighters and the TBM 3D. So that's all 3 of those true night planes, I guess, that actually has the night icon. And and something that was just, I guess, discovered yesterday or today is that there's the new ranker cut in with 3 night fighters, but the only people who can do that got a night fighter out of ranking, which is kind of funny.
I suspect that we're probably going to see more of those night fighters in the coming events and patches, but for now, definitely rankers. How much damage does the ranker cut-in do, if any?
It's the C class, so the 1.18 multiplier.
Oh.
I don't know what the actual numbers in Soul. I haven't run the numbers, but I mean, Soul, is that capping night with the 3 fighters?
I think you still cap even if you don't have custom, so I'm not so sure. I could check though.
Right. So, but kind of the point of those is you can only for the best night cut-in multiplier, unless you're a ranker, you can only have that one night ship, and you can't have any other ships that can attack at night, because that's both of your night fighters right there. So, and then if you're not using Saratoga Mark II, you have to have the night scamp thing. So, but yeah,
The Knights.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the Night Scamp. I'm not sure how I feel about it because it's definitely the only feasible way, really, for them to have enabled night carrier attacks on all carriers.
Right.
But it's now we have so many options for small slots now. It's just a lot of jockeying going around.
Yeah, that's the other.
Especially if we ever get another stupidly high AS requirement map again.
Right. That's the other thing that nobody's really sure about right now is, are these night attacks going to be worth it? Are the night cut-ins going to be worth it? I think we have to wait for an event to see if there's a map that really takes advantage of it, because Soul, correct me here, but I can't think of any current map in the game that is like it's that helpful on.
I guess technically you can wait. I can't remember for what was it? 5-3? The Yasen map.
Yeah, that's 5-3.
Can you even bring carriers?
Can you even bring carriers to that map?
I wasn't aware that you could.
Because that's literally the only map in the regular rotation that I can think of where you might want to consider it.
I think, don't carriers off-route? Carriers might off-route on that map.
I could,
are you digging up the routing rules?
I'm actually looking at the routing rules right now.
Yeah, you off-route if you have carriers, I think. Or it's extremely high as long as you have at least one carrier. So,
you need at least 3 carriers, torpedo cruisers, and
fast battleships to guarantee the off-route, but you have a very high chance of going to E if you don't.
Right.
If you just have one.
Yeah, there's.
So
that's pretty much the only map I can think of off the top of my head.
Right. So at the current time, it feels
I
like
in like 6.5, so you actually get one more attack done. Then you need to have like the Kikakai for the jet.
To still hit AS while doing that.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that it's there's a couple places where it could be useful. It could be some interesting strategies, but again, there's nothing where it's really like you should totally run this. Like this completely changes this map meta. So it'll be interesting to see an event, or if we get a World 7 or more EOs, if it'll ever be a top tier strategy, I guess.
They'll probably include an event map that uses it just because they added it, so they want to use it, kind of.
Right. Oh, of course, it could be another Jets thing, and they just never touch it again, and everybody forgets it exists.
Yeah, that also happened.
Yeah. So moving on from that a little bit, what do you guys think about the Saratoga K2 quests? mainly 5-5 here. I mean, we already talked a little bit how the screw costs, but what do you think? What do you guys think about the 5-5? Have you guys done it yet?
I haven't finished it.
It wasn't that bad actually, but I think I got lucky when doing it.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of RNG.
It's basically the
Kind of
main
like who
is the
like
S
recast targets. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically, you have to sparkle, you have to run supports, and even then it's kind of a crapshoot, because you're running 3 light ships in a non-flag position into 5-5. So if, Ray chooses the wrong target, I mean, she'll mostly overkill, but it's kind of a crapshoot, I feel like. What do you guys think about Saratoga being in LSC pool now? Obviously, it's nice for new people who haven't had her to get her, but do you think it'll be worth it? And do you think people will actually try to... I mean, obviously people are, but do you think it'll be a lot of people, or it'll be useful to try for a dupe?
Nope.
Not unless they give out much more catapults.
Yeah, the only real thing having a dupe Saratoga really gives you is just extra days to upgrade the Wildcat.
That's actually a good point.
There's nothing else. I mean, I guess her slots are still technically pretty good, and they're slightly unbalanced by her armored carrier form. But there's nothing it really brings having a dupe Saratoga, especially since
if you can like spare a protocol, you can have one for like both night carrier and armored carrier in case either is needed. But that seems like not a few people would have enough catapults for that.
I mean, most new people are only going to have the 2 from the quest.
Yeah, that's another good point, is that there's still only 2 catapults available from Quest, so unless they add another one, or they start giving more like extras from events without adding ones that needed in events, it's kind of, the people are falling behind if they didn't do those.
I wouldn't be surprised if they start handing them more out as rewards in extra operations, or for events, or even hard mode rewards.
Right, because Sorry, go ahead.
But there is, even then, there's just a limited amount of ships that can use the prototype catapults in the first place. And I'm not sure if they're either going to just... how economic it would be just to give these out, because you would need a second dupe Saratoga just to make use of one. And after that, nobody's going to need a third carrier.
Right. Yeah, because I do remember I think it was fall, they did give one out on, I think it was Medium Plus, I don't remember exactly. It was either Medium Plus or
it was Medium
Hard.
Plus.
Okay.
It was Medium Plus.
They did give a dupe one that was like, it was a legit dupe protopult. It wasn't needed, there was no new ships then that needed it, whatever. So that was like a catch-up one, or for, fossil players, it was an extra. But it'll be interesting to see if they start giving them out, because now that we have, 2 more ships than we have quests for, that'll be interesting to see.
But only one of them's really available, though. Taio has not yet been added.
That's true.
That's true. The normal rotation.
Yeah,
I'm kind of surprised they didn't put a quest for Saratoga Protocol.
I'm not sure how long that's gonna last. I expect, since she's in LSC pool now, that they're going to add a quest for her at some point in the future.
I guess maybe they're holding back until they add another USM ship.
It's possible that could be it, because right now she's the only available USN ship, and I don't think they're making Iowa available anytime soon in any format.
Yeah, that's another point of contention on whether Iowa will actually come back or not.
I doubt it, unless there's like a US focus event again.
Yeah. We'll get to that later, though, talking about future events. I think that's about everything in the Saratoga patch that mattered. So moving on, the next kind of big recent event that everybody knows about was the leaks from the live event, the Naval Review. So the first big one is we do have leaked stuff of the next duck, Suzuki. So what do you guys think? I got the art pulled up now, but we do have our 4th Akizuki. Fuck, I fucking can't speak. What do you think about our next duck class?
I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. Disappointed that they didn't use what was it? Futsuyuki, I believe.
Fuyutsuki?
Yeah,
Something like that,
because
yeah.
it was one of the other ducks because there was a Soviet duck.
Really?
Yeah, one of
Oh, yeah.
the
The one
ducks
that got
survived the
sold
war
or
and got handed off to Soviet Russia for
Huh.
war reparations.
That would have been cool.
I felt that would have been a better time to add a duck because winter otherwise was kind of low on interesting ships. Gangunt, I like her design, but she's not really useful 80% of the time.
Hey man, I ran her on E3 and went through a subnode for it.
So I felt that would have been the time to introduce a new duck. So I'm a bit disappointed they waited until now to do so.
Yeah, I was actually expecting them to bring in a new one sooner. I didn't think it would take this long. I was predicting one in this past event, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the art leaked obviously, and somebody cleaned it up, and then just earlier, I guess it was earlier today, the some of her voice got leaked. Did you guys listen to that yet?
No.
Yeah,
No, I
her,
haven't.
I did actually.
yeah, her intro line got leaked. So go check that out. It's on Reddit. DU posted it, and it's around. But she sounds good. You know, a little more generic than I would have expected. But I mean, you know, what are you gonna do?
To be fair, it is the introduction line and a voice sample, so...
True. So it's always hilarious, though, that, you know, the day of that she got leaked, there was already 5 artists who had art out of her, which is always hilarious how fast stuff comes out.
Wasn't there... I swear there was something about a concept or a fan art that looks surprisingly like the final design that got posted like a year ago or something.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, I saw that post actually, but I don't have it here.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. So then the slightly less interesting is that confirmed we will be getting a British DD.
Hey, fuck you, man. I think it's super interesting.
I actually,
and I'm not saying that as because I'm a massive Royal Navy fan. That's 100% not the reason. Please ignore the fact that both Royal Navy ships currently in game are already on the ring list. But no, personally, I think the British DD is super interesting because there aren't that many British destroyers that are actually historically important. So if we know who the destroyer is, in my belief, we can figure out who the main reward from that event will be. There's only maybe a handful of destroyers that ever really did much for the Royal Navy and survived. Most of them got sunk in the war. So if we know which destroyer it is, we can probably make a pretty quick guess at what the event's going to be like. So I think it's super interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say obviously.
Royal Navy fandom aside.
Yeah, I know nothing about the Royal Navy, but do you have any prediction? If you had to put your money on, let's say, two different DDs right now, who would you say it's going to be between 2 or 3 of them?
There's not. I don't know enough names off the top of my head, unfortunately. The only real ones I'm kind of looking out for would be Electra or future later HMAS Vampire, mostly because both of them are associated with Prince of Wales, which is probably one of my favorite ships around. So I'm just hoping it's going to end up one of those DDs. Other than that, I know there's a few destroyers here and there that helped sink a few German capital ships in the Atlantic, but I don't know any of their names off the top of my head.
Right.
But I'm hoping mostly for a Task Force Z destroyer.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I couldn't find her picture real quick, but I mean, she had what? It was like a straw hat, right?
Straw hat and a suitcase. Surprisingly.
That'll be funny. I think the first thing I thought of when I saw her was she kind of looks like the DE Etsorofu. I don't know. She just reminded me of her for some reason.
I don't really get any strong impressions off the lead card, really.
Yeah. So, other than those two, the third big thing that came out of the live event was that Concol will, in fact. Oh, and first of all, before anybody says anything, I say Concol. I don't say Concole. It's just, I don't know, force of habit. So you can crucify me if you want. Anyways, Concol will be moving to HTML5 off of Flash, and it's, I guess they called it, Concol Phase 2 or something, which is, they're just reworking it. So do you guys, what do you guys think about that?
Was Soul about to say something? I couldn't tell.
I mean, it depends on how the servers are set up and how intimately the game is with Flash, kind of. So it depends on that.
Right. Well, I know
go from having about no effect to breaking viewers and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, I know they've been planning on Phase 2 for ever now, really. So it's interesting to see that they're actually going forward with it. The fact that Flash is probably going to be dropped by Internet Explorer sometime within the next year probably is, how to put it, accelerating their plans. There we go. But it was definitely something that's been supposed to happen for, I don't know, a year or two now. Right. So I'm interested in seeing how it'll happen going forward. I'll also be happy to hear to finally put a goddamn nail in those Concole is dying memes.
Yeah, I mean, people have been saying that since a year after the game came out, and I mean, there aren't as many continual average players, but that's because once you've gotten to endgame, you don't play outside of the event. You just farm shit. So.
But at the same time, there isn't really much of a defined end game.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just eventually people decide, hey, I could probably just only do events from now on.
Right, and then not everybody, but a lot of those people do come back for events, and then they're really active while the event's going on. So. The other, I found it. I don't know where this rumor came from, but people were like, "Oh man, they're gonna kick out all the foreigners. We're not gonna be able to play anymore." And I thought that was super funny. I'm like, "What are you guys talking about?"
That's
Flash
because DMM.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. DMM has said that they don't want people, but Kadokawa?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kadokawa is totally fine with it. So I guess that kind of somehow got in there, but Flash is
yeah, definitely the main reason for that rumor, to my knowledge, is because a few other DMM games have been hit with a region lock. Now, before anybody panics, the main thing to know about the region lock is it only affects you while you're connecting. And once you're past the region lock, apparently, as of the last time I've had this news. It could have changed since then, but this just means that if you know how to use a VPN, you can just set it up, connect to the game, shut it down, and then keep playing. It's an extra step, but it's not really that difficult.
Yeah, and the other thing was the thing that was weird about why this started coming out was if you're switching from Flash to HTML, I saw there was a good picture of this on the wiki that I saw that if you're switching Flash to HTML, you're only changing your front end. You're not changing how the API works. You're not changing the servers. They may be updating those at the same time, so maybe there will be changes. But purely Flash to HTML, you're changing the front end. You're not changing how the region stuff interacts. It might break some viewers if some of the KC3. It might break POI a little bit if they change some of the API stuff, but inherently going from Flash to HTML5 does not do anything with region locking. So let's see. So next, the last of the main big events, we do have a confirmation that the Sauri. I have no idea how to actually pronounce that word.
Is it sorry?
Is it sorry? Sorry?
Something like that.
I don't know. Whatever.
The
fishing.
Story.
Sorry, the fishing event will be next patch on the 28th, 29th? I think it's
29th GST.
Yeah.
29th, okay. So the fishing event will be coming back on the 29th, so everybody get your stuff ready to go farm for that. Let's see. Yeah, it's just the same time every year, right? So
it's roughly. It coincides with the real life Japanese fishing event to my knowledge,
Right.
which is roughly this time.
I played. I think I was like kind of not playing that much last year, but I got through and I got the free WG42. But then I was looking at the past rewards, and it was 2 years ago. The first time they did it, it was like you got some sonars from the quests, so that was kind of whatever. But then last year they gave out, a free WG42. So who knows? Maybe we'll actually get some good rewards.
I suspect that we're going to get something similar to last year, where it's one really good reward if you get a shit ton of fish, and then a few mediocre rewards before then.
I still don't understand how blowing up fish helps you get them.
It helps the war effort because we're getting food. To subsidize the amount of food presumably ship girls eat.
Yeah, we're sending these fish off to the Admiralty, and they're like, "Oh, you don't have to pay for this food anymore, so we'll give you more equipment instead." Yep, so that's coming up. So let's see, I can pull it up actually. What are all the things that make you get more fish? I think it's like skilled lookouts, searchlights.
Depth charge.
Sonars.
Yeah, searchlights, sonars, skilled lookouts, depth charges. And then there's, the maps 1-1, 1-5, 1-6, a bunch, all of World 3, apparently 6-5. So definitely.
Who really goes fishing at 6-5 though?
I don't know.
Who runs 6-5 just for fishes?
Supposedly it was really good last time because it was like a crap ton of the nodes had them, but I mean I didn't have 6-5 unlocked then, so.
Maybe swordfish helps fish.
I saw somebody bring that up. That'll be funny if bringing swordfish actually counts as a fishing equip.
Oh, that would be so deliciously ironic. Well, not ironic, deliciously thematic, correct? It'd just be right. That's all I can say.
That would be funny. So yeah, everybody definitely get ready and prepare your fleets to go get a crap ton of fish, and at minimum clear the quests, because holy crap, yeah, the 2016, the third quest gave 3,000 of every resource and then 1k bauxite. So definitely worth it to do the quests at minimum. And then obviously you can get, let's see, you can get screws, you can get buckets, all kinds of good stuff. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was musing about how many other major mini events actually happen throughout the year, because this is the only one I can think of.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, there aren't any like interactive events kind of otherwise, except for like CGs.
Yeah, this is the only real, other than events and patches, I think fishing event is the only one they've done regularly. So, because I mean there was like the Christmas time drops on 4.5 like 2 years ago, and they've never redone that. So, okay, so moving on to our next big section here, I kind of want to do, obviously we just finished the summer event, 2 weeks ago, something like that. So I'd like to kind of do a little bit of a retrospective on that, kind of talk about some of the maps, what we think of how the event worked, how the community responded to the event, and kind of things around that. So first of all, we can just do a quick overview. First of all, if I were to say to you guys, doing word association here, summer 2017 event, what do you guys think of?
Where are my resources? Yeah, no, that'd be it. It's
yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Also, like, when will this TP bar ever end?
Sorry, what was that?
Like, when will this TP bar ever end?
Yeah, holy crap, the E6 TP bar was so ridiculous. Yeah, it was definitely it was a struggle of an event. Opinions may differ, but obviously E7 especially was kind of a clusterfuck for a while. Let's go through here map by map. Some of them there's not too much to talk about. Obviously, E1 is just your standard, sub map.
No, here's the thing. E1 should have tipped us. Would have, in retrospect, for me, tipped me off, or it was a bit of a tip off about how annoying the new sub lolly would be when I realized she wasn't dying quite as quickly as the original sub Hime.
That's a good point.
So it was at the time I was like, oh, she's just a bit more annoying to this boss node is just a bit more annoying to clean up. But I was more focused on the new Kai that was hanging around in the boss node than I was about the fact that occasionally my ASW ships would need to do 2 or 3 attacks consecutively in order to even put her into like Taiha.
Yeah, that's it. So I just pulled up both the Submarine Princess and this new Submarine Princess. Let's see. So the old one is 110 HP and 53 armor in her just base minimum form. And the new one is 177 HP but less armor. So you can already see that even in just the first form, let's see, in the toughest form, which is probably what most people end up facing for like harder difficulties, the old Sub Princess Form 3, 160 hit points, 89 armor. The fucking new Sub Princess Form 3, 377 HP.
That was the one that killed you very frequently on E7.
Yep. So that's a fun time right there. That's another kind of this gets kind of into the next section, but in terms of map design, E1 had off-route nodes that were purely for farming, the new farming Sagiri. Do you guys have any opinions on?
I like that. If I had time to farm, which I didn't, I would have definitely gone back and hit some of the farm nodes on E1. It definitely makes things easier if you're new, and if they do it again for ships besides just trophy DDs.
Right.
It would definitely be easier for people who might say not have enough gear to reliably clear out S node, the boss node and S rank it. Having an alternative way of farming would be handy for those new people, in my opinion.
Right.
I just wish I had time to do it myself.
And also the E1, the bauxite farm was kind of nice. I didn't end up doing it myself. I was sick of it, but that was a lot of people exploited that a little bit, so that was kind of interesting. Let's see, E2. E2, I think personally for me, E2 was the most forgettable map.
I don't even remember what E2 was like.
Yeah, E2 was the.
Oh yeah, it was like a single map thing. Share the lock with E3. That's
Was that the one where we invaded Sri Lanka?
Yeah, crossing of Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Letter, it's totally a different country now.
So I don't even have an opinion on it. Was it even? I can't remember. Was it TCF? I don't remember.
No, it was single fleet.
Yeah, single fleet HP bar.
Yeah, that's how forgettable it was for me.
Yeah, this was it had like the weird installation on Sri Lanka that you had to do for the debuff, and like the weird off-route nodes that didn't do anything, and it was just kind of there. Like, I don't think E2 was.
E3 was the one with the triangle of death, right?
Right. Okay. So that's
Yeah.
E2. E2 doesn't really matter. Let's move on to E3 here for a second. So, first of all, E3, the TP bar. This was the TP map with, I think, 2 new Kai nodes on the way.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So I ran this day 2, day 1, whatever, with transport fleet, and I was like, what is going on? I am running node support on E3 on an event.
Okay.
What is happening?
Yeah, I ran node support for most of the maps, so for most of the event maps, without even being prompted to, so I have no idea how hard it was without it.
Yeah.
Just taking a look at my own records, though, let's see. I also did a transport fleet, but I just ran node support for everything.
I didn't have the resources to run support, so I just ran Surface Task Force for that.
Yeah, so that was the next point I was going to bring up, is people then discovered, oh wait, you can run Surface Fleet for this, and you can set it up in such a way that you miss one of the harder nodes. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well.
I kind of like it because it gives more flexibility to people to choose how to lock their ship, kind of.
Right. It was interesting because this and E6 as well. You didn't have to run transport confined fleet. You could run surface, and I don't know if you could run CTF here, but On E6, you could run even Carrier Task Force and be fine for the transport bar, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then, of course, we get to the HP bar, and the routing rules on this, I mean, I think they were... I ran this so early, I think they weren't solidified yet, but they got figured out by the end. But what was up with this triangle, man?
You went on the triangle trip, the incredibly enjoyable triangle trip. You had, I think it was 3 heavies, and the thing at the time that nobody was really aware of, or perhaps caught everyone by surprise, was the fact that light carriers counted as a heavy ship.
Yeah, I think overall this event in combined fleet, it really, really didn't like heavy main fleets.
Yeah, the main thing was I don't remember if this it was true for the other maps because it's been a while. But I think this was one of the first times that a light carrier counted as a heavy ship instead of a light ship.
Right, because I mean, even on, we'll get to it later, but on E7 you had to have a light ship, where light ship it was effectively a destroyer or a CL, right? Those were the only two things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting. And God, that was not a fun time running E3 Last Dance. And then, obviously once some more comps came out, it wasn't as bad.
Surprisingly, I don't think I actually had that. I didn't, of course, I wasn't there at the start and ran out at the start. But I don't recall quite having that much difficulty across all of up to E4.
Yeah.
Yeah, my E1 to E4 was pretty breezy.
Right. So then we move on to the first major gate map on this event, which was E4, the end of the main operations, also known as, oh god, why does this boss have so much armor? Any overall impressions of this map?
So
imps are fun. Huh?
Yeah. So you're the newest one here, so
Yeah.
I think your impression's probably gonna be a lot better or a lot different from mine and Esh's impression.
I mean, it was interesting. Like, you didn't kill boss unless you were like kind of lucky. So
Yeah,
it's like you're throwing your ships at the boss, and either it dies or it doesn't. There's not much you can do about that.
Full disclosure, I ran this map on normal because I saw that E5 had the Spitfire Mark 9 and I didn't give a shit about the Mark 5, so I can't talk about how hard was.
I ran hard. It wasn't, in my opinion, and just looking at my records, the hard part wasn't the boss, it was more just getting to the boss alive. Because I definitely see a lot more issues getting to the boss than I did have actual boss kill problems. I think the only time personally I actually had failed to kill the boss after Yasen was the first time I tried Last Dance. But my second Last Dance attempt then just wiped her.
Right. Did you run Europeans? Did you run Prince Eugen?
Yes. I ran Warspite, Musashi in my main league.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
Zaro.
I think I actually ran TCI Prince. I think this might have been the first time I actually ran Torpedo Cut In on Prince Eugen.
I had 3 TCIs at the end.
Yeah.
I had Ayaname, Miyoko, and Prince. And see, the thing is, I was really hoping that the triple TCI, the first 2 would kill the boss, but then Miyoko choked for, I think it was like 60 damage on a TCI hit.
Oh man, that's the worst.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Great, now I can't say, oh, I didn't need Prince to TCI.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Like, you could have some like ridiculous armor rolls, which basically reduced everything to scratch, basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I suspect happened with the Miyoko TCI, because she was below 100 health. I was like, okay, this has to be it. There's no way Miyoko... Oh, nope, never mind. She choked for 100 damage.
Yeah.
Sub
Pretty
100
much.
damage.
Oh, didn't like Noob get like some ridiculous armor rolls at LD too?
The main problem is, in my opinion, even though Prince by herself may not have been necessary, there were some rumors that Warspite was giving a damage boost during the day. having neither definitely made things a bit more difficult than absolute necessary. On hard mode. On hard mode. On normal and easy, from how I understand it, she was actually killable without any special ships.
On medium, you could kill it without TCI as well, actually.
Yeah, I think I ran TCI on Prinz on normal, and it was like literally no issue at all. So, but then you know, of course, if people aren't as prepared and haven't been playing as long, it's still kind of, you know, a struggle to have ships ready. But this was overall the high armor map of the event, I would say.
Yeah, it brings to mind for me. Sorry, Soul.
It's like E4 was kind of like a bar of who could get a hard mode reward for E5. That's like what it felt like to me, kind of.
Right. I actually the one other thing about this map is the music was really good. I really like the music on this map.
I completely forgot to unmute my game for most.
Yeah,
maps, so I have no idea how it sounds like.
I was restreaming Frontline, and this was the first map where I took notice of, man, this music's cool. So I got to go back and listen to this event music. The E7 boss music and this map both had really cool music, I felt like. Let's see. So that's E4, E5. Okay. I like E5.
At E5, I realized how few carriers I had left, and I was forced to use a Magi base.
Oh man.
Oh.
I pulled it off somehow, but it was not a fun time for me. It wasn't that as bad as E7 per se, but still, I had to field a Magi base.
Yeah. I think we're kind of mixing in the map design discussion here, which is fine, but I really like E5 because I felt like it was kind of unique in that after you debuff, it was mostly like gearing up and trying to get to the boss, and with it was like a no fuel like endurance run. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, once you got to boss, you know, your land base would just kill everything. So it was kind of interesting that it's not really as much of an issue of get to boss and kill it. It's how do I optimize this to get through these nodes on the way, and I don't even need to worry about boss that much at all.
I definitely didn't feel that quite as much. I felt more like I was preparing for actually having to kill the boss most of the time.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was so weird that I get that the reason I felt that way a lot is that it was the shortest possible route. Not even like, oh, this is what we found. Like the shortest possible route on the map, and it's what people used. You end up with like 10% fuel at boss. I just thought that was really interesting that they designed it that way. And let's see, yeah. So, and of course, this was, I guess.
Yeah, I got the Spitfire out of it, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, this was I guess E3 had it too, but this was the major one that was, if you do not have European ships for routing on this map, you're kind of fucked.
I don't know how true that is. Soul, you have an opinion on the lack of Euro ships?
Well, I actually someone I know actually had someone who tried to run it without European ships on hard mode, and it didn't go that well for them. So I think it would be preferred to have it, yeah. Euro ships. Well, it's possible to do it without. It's not very fun pre-boss.
Right, because I remember definitely some of the frontliners ran it just with a lighter comp and no European ships, and you know it still routes fine. It's just you have to have some really good evasions and some good RNG to be able to get through without, you know, some heavy Europeans.
I mean, like, the difference is with Europeans, you can bring 2 fast battleships, 2 destroyers, and 2 carriers. Well, without, it's like 1 fast battleship, 1 light cruiser, 3 destroyers, and 1 light carrier.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 1 carrier.
Yeah, the comp, I ended up running Lebetio just so I could have a third European and have 2 and 2 because I had to run Bismarck, Warspite, and Lebeccia.
Libe was pretty good for the opening node, if I recall correctly, because it had the submarines and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Also, a fun fact about the map is like you can get through like basically the whole map with only submarines, but after the air raid, you just off-route, so that was kind of funny.
That's funny.
somebody tried to run subs.
I think I have a screenshot of it somewhere. Let me see if I can find it.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So I'm definitely it was, although interesting, it wasn't quite as stressful as E7 or even E6. Although I feel the real boss of E6 was the transport node.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I definitely think in terms of difficulty, E5 was not one of the in the top half of hard maps, I guess I'd put it maybe. It wasn't, when I think back about hard maps on this event, E5 was not one of them. In terms of, relative difficulty. You know what I kind of want to know is, did anyone run the light comp no Europeans? I mean, obviously some people did. There's always crazy ass people who do this shit. Were there people who ran light comp, or I mean, not light comp. Were there people who ran heavy comp without Europeans and routed through? I think and actually routed. Was it the aircraft carrier?
Yes, I think that
node?
was it.
Yeah. Are there people who actually did that and didn't have that many issues with it? I'd be kind of interested to find that out.
I would doubt it. The carrier Hime node on hard was kind of scary.
Yeah. Which is, of course, why you needed to run either heavy comp with European ships or run the lighter comp.
Hold up. European node went
A, B, D, E, F. Wait, F, I. So yeah, going to J was the one you didn't want to go to.
Yep. Let's see. Let's look at J. Harbor
Here,
Hime.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Wokai. Oh wait, no. Woe class flagship 4. Worse. Nukai.
Oh, is that a new Kai? Oh my god.
Is it Nukai?
Oh
it's
no,
a
this
Nukai
is just a new, yeah.
new class.
So yeah, that's the node you did not want to go through, basically.
666 air superiority.
Jesus. That's ridiculous.
That's like not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
AS plus, it's a 666 AS plus 333 AS on a map where.
you have 2 carriers, like, yeah.
Yep. Unless you're mealing, which is a bad idea.
There was that 3 carrier comp as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the 3 carrier comp. Yeah.
It was like just a maximum 4 heavy ship
Yeah,
when you had
yeah.
European.
Yeah, it was just maximum 4 heavies. You're right. So did you find that screenshot, Sol?
I'm looking for it right now.
Okay. If you find it, we'll pull it
I
up.
found it.
Oh, you
I
found
have
it?
it here.
Here, I'll pull
Yep.
it up if you want to link it real quick.
Here.
So many
The
6 subs and just off routes. Jesus. I wonder if that was actually an LOS off route though.
Yeah, no, but he has so many seats
Yeah, he
about it.
has a lot of planes.
28.3 LOS.
Yeah, that's funny.
8.3.
Debated.
Whoops.
Yeah. So that's E5. So now E6. Other than E7, I would say this was probably the most talked about map other than E7. E4 was like, there was armor difficulty, but I'd say E6 a lot more people were like, what the fuck is going on?
See, I ran E6 transport. I got the bar down to half before I learned I had 2 air bases. so I had cleared half of the bar with nothing more than 1 air base. I was like, why is it so hard? Everyone said it would be a breeze. And then I looked at the event info and I was like, oh shit, I'm right, I have 2 air bases now. I was so used to using 1 for the last 2 maps that I
Right.
completely forgot that they opened up the second one for E6.
Yeah, God, when they first pulled this map up on stream for the frontliners, and we were looking at this and we're like, does that bar really say 2,000? Like, oh my god. That was insane. But it's hilarious because you're going through, what was it? It's a PT imp node and you're going through a Rue wall node and that's it, and then you're at the boss.
Mm-hmm.
But
It wasn't hard, but it was just...
It was extremely annoying to do.
Yeah.
2,000 points is like, it's over 20 runs minimum if you want to have like a good chance of getting an A rank at boss.
Yeah.
I ran a carrier task force for this, and I still managed to clear something like 150 points of run per S rank.
Yeah, so...
No, but like, the problem is getting the S rank and not just landing at an A.
Yeah, it was definitely difficult to get the A rank. Or sorry, to not get an A rank, but I felt that it was doable. But you need a lot of heavies. You just needed to punch through really hard.
Right. Again, this was just like E3. I started out running this with Transport Fleet, which was a significant struggle because of the Rue wall node. But after I switched to Surface, and it was nowhere near as bad. It was just, obviously more resource usage. But once people figured out comps, it wasn't bad. It was just tedious. And even that's a good point to bring up, is even after I switched to Surface, I just loaded up all my escort destroyers then with Daihatsu and then some drums in main, and I was getting effectively the same amount of transport per run that I was with Transport Fleet. So
yep, looking at it, my entire comp was stack as many Daihatsus as possible.
Yeah. Was there ever anything found out about the other transport node down on the coast of Africa?
Actually, I don't think so.
Because
it didn't seem to do anything at all, kind of. It just was there.
Right. Because there was initial speculation like, oh, maybe if you go there it removes more transport or something, and then it just didn't do anything.
It was just there.
Yeah.
Maybe it was intended to, like, double amount, but it failed, kind of.
Yeah, maybe. Or if you're crazy and you want to run a transport fleet all the way to boss for some reason.
I don't think anybody's that crazy. You would run out of fuel halfway through.
You would end up with like 0 fuel like 10 if you try that.
That would be funny. So yeah, so that's the TP bar, just long and tedious. It took a while, whatever. And then the HP bar, like, it was so. If you got to boss, you just had to show up. You had to put in the old college try. If you got to boss on this map, you killed it. I felt like.
It's like I didn't even run land base to like boss. I just ran it to boss because it's like when you get the boss, it's like not there, kind of.
Yeah,
I ran LBAS, but only because I want to. This was the other chance for me to use a Raiden on Sorte. It was a 0 range LBAS. Yeah. I'm not going to say, oh, maybe I shouldn't run my Raiden. I have better things. Nope, we're sticking that Raiden in with my 64, 54, and my new shiny Spitfire, and we're just gonna air raid the shit out of the boss.
That was super funny that the boss was 0 range. Was that intended? Like, what were they thinking?
Like, every node was 0 range that time, so it's
right.
I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's intended because it worked.
My personal guess is because, historically speaking, there's a lot of airports in that area and a lot of air bases they could have just made.
Yeah, you could just fly out of anywhere in Europe there on the southern coast, anywhere in Africa on the northern coast,
and then you just land, refuel, fly up again, then you just cut through. So my guess is maybe that's why, but I don't. From a lore perspective and a historical perspective, from a game design perspective, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. Weird
0
stuff.
range?
Yeah.
That's lower range than last event with the 1 range boss.
Yeah, the 1 range boss on E4 or whatever it was. That was crazy too.
I wondered, since that it was 0 range this time, maybe they'll add a 0 range plane.
I don't even know how a 0 range plane would look like.
It's a glider. Yeah.
It's one of those stupid rocket planes.
Yeah.
Oh, like the E200 and ME262.
Yeah, the German interceptor that's literally rocket powered.
Yeah, 163, I think.
No, was it? No, wait, 263 was the fighter. Never mind.
Yeah,
163 is the 163 is the interceptor.
Yeah. So yeah, it almost felt like this HP bar was kind of a gimme. They're like, okay, you got through this TP bar, we'll just give you the boss node. That's totally fine. So
That's pretty much how it felt.
there was a debuff, right? Did you guys do the debuff?
Yeah,
There was a debuff. I think I did it. Let me just take a look at what the debuff consists of, because I definitely see some things.
When you went through the maelstrom after that, oh no, after air raids.
Yeah, no, I did debuff it, but I really didn't want to risk anything, so...
Yeah,
They refresh when he went to the maelstrom that time, so like missed the debuff, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know, because I'm looking at my records, and I didn't do the debuff, and I only got to boss 5 times total to clear. So I'm pretty sure that was no fail. Like, that was 1 A rank and 4 S ranks, and it was done. Yeah, so I don't know. Weird map. Super stupid TP bar, but then once you got through that, it was totally fine. Weird map. I almost didn't do E6 on hard because of the TP bar, but I'm like, screw it, I want this Sea Fire. So
Sea Fire is actually quite nice, I feel like.
Yeah.
Personally, I like my Seafire, but once again, I may or may not be a Brittophile. What is even the correct term for it?
Let's see.
You might be biased,
I mean,
Tiaboo?
Anglophile is just the West, right? So
yeah.
I don't know. So now we get on to the most infamous map of the event, E7. This just looking at the map, it's like, what is going on?
I tried to clear it on hard.
Yeah, this was when we were restreaming this, they got to this map and they're like, okay, we know there's a route unlock. So they were running stuff and they got, they were like, okay, we probably have to go to these 2 end nodes. They got the route unlock. And then they didn't know yet that you had to go back there. So they were just running shit. We had on our document for the doc, we had like 20 plus comps that like Kaima and Zui and all these guys were running, trying to get the good routing, and they couldn't do it because they had to go back to the fucking P&R nodes again. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, no, it was. Oh god, I farmed it on easy first of all, and before doing my hard run attempts, and it was just a massive waste of field just unlocking everything, because you had to go up to the north to bomb what appears to be the southern coast of Britain. Oh wait, no, that's Ireland.
Ireland, yeah.
Is that yeah?
It's
I
Ireland.
had to bomb the southern coast of Ireland. I had to bomb what was apparently Saint Nazaire, and I had to do it twice. I was like, oh god, I can already tell this is gonna be a bitch for hard mode. And I didn't even have to get to the part where I had to A rank or S rank the sub nodes.
Right. Yep.
So, unfortunately, I didn't actually waste much time farming the boss node. I got Graf Zeppelin in my first run, and I was like, screw it.
You piece of shit. Dude, I ran this shit on easy so that I could get Graf, and I got her 2 runs after I cleared the map.
No, I lucked out on my drop. Disclaimer, that was the only good drop I got this entire event.
Yeah, I got all the new ships except the destroyers on clear, so that was pretty
I
lucky.
didn't even get any of the new ships besides...
Oh, at all? Damn.
Yeah, besides what they rewarded us, I didn't get any of the new ships because I had to disappear for a week for a vacation trip.
RIP.
Yeah, so I didn't have enough time to go back to farm for anything. But yeah, even my farm attempt, aside from getting Graf, I didn't really get anything else. And then I switched to hard mode.
Yeah. Like, actually, E7 was like... There wasn't that much difference between easy and medium, but there's like a giant spike to hard mode. So I actually managed to clear the event on medium with like... What was it? 10,000 fuel and 8,000 ammo?
Hard mode was a radical jump in difficulty, whereas easy and normal, the worst thing you had to fight was the worst thing was the routing. even if you managed to get all the best routing, it would still require you to go through on hard mode the most insanely high health and armor submarine princess of all
Yeah,
time,
it's
followed by the
It was
BB
like
Hime node.
it was Destroyer Princess or something, and the Submarine Princess, then the Carrier Princess, then the Battleship Princess.
yeah, it was
All
four.
So dumb.
All four of the pre-boss, like nodes that you go to before boss, all four of them had medium to high chance of tie-highing one of your ships.
It was
Yeah,
just.
also,
I didn't actually have that much problem with G node. Actually, everyone says, "Oh my God, G node's so insanely difficult." But even on hard mode, it was only after I changed out of hard mode did I start having problems on G node. I found. So,
interesting to note, some of the nodes are actually harder on lower difficulties. Like, on hard mode, Q node is in diamond formation, while on lower difficulties, it was actually in cruising formation 4, which is the all-out attack one, so it was more dangerous on
Huh,
easy and medium
really?
than hard mode.
That's
Yeah.
actually funny. I never noticed that. Huh.
So
It actually
that's why you had to
drafted-
that's why you had to send a fighter sweep to Q node to survive that node.
yeah, the carrier Hime was the most obvious one. I think the destroyer Warusame also had that, but I don't know off the top of my head because Wikia fucked up the.
We get fucked up templating for it, so it's
The
broke.
formatting is currently fucked up on Wikia, so I can't actually look at the enemy patterns. But yeah,
Shouldn't
No.
Ian Casey Wiki have it though?
Probably.
I'd have to look at it later because I don't have it open immediately. But no, the main thing definitely was just how much firepower you needed. You just needed so many different things to go right on hard mode to
Right.
get to the boss, and then you needed even more things to have happened in order to actually kill the boss.
Exactly. I think this was. I'm pulling this out of my ass, and this isn't, obviously people will contradict me, but I think this was one of, if not, probably not the worst, but one of the worst examples of difficulty for a map because you're, multiple factors of not only is it, the boss is hard, and even if you get to the boss all healthy, you have to kill the boss, but every single node you went to before there was also hard.
The main issue, in my opinion, remains the sub-lolly.
Yeah, that was. I mean, did she
was
miss?
basically the only thing.
Did she ever miss? Ever? Like,
She does
I
not
think
miss.
she missed once or twice as I've seen it, but
Yeah.
just because accuracy doesn't go up to 100%.
right?
Yeah. So every other part of the map would have been fine without the sub-lolly, but the sub-lolly, the sheer fact of it is even with sparkling ASW formation, ASW ships, you just had a chance where she would decide nope and punk one of your ships.
Yeah.
So literally even the quad BB Hime node and the CV Hime node, both of those were not quite as bad in my opinion. There were ways to get around it. Sending an LB a airbase strike to the quad BB Hime neutralized most of the IMs, node support took out what was left, and if your ships were still healthy, then there was a good chance you would be able to then knock them out.
Right.
But the problem is, sub-lolly made it so that at least one of your ships were never in good health.
Right. Interesting stuff, really.
Also, it's kind of funny how you mix PT imps with something high health. So it's either you hit something or you don't damage the other. If you don't properly plan your setup. So that's kind of more source of a lot of salt.
Right.
Yeah. I did enjoy trying to come up with a comp for the map, but it was just so many things that you had to prepare for.
Right. I think one of the more interesting things about this map was that Yuta K2 was actually really useful because because obviously for the good routing you needed a light in your main fleet, and she was able to be your AACI and also just a seaplane fighter mule.
Everyone who laughed at Yura K2 before the event.
Pretty much. Like I thought that was pretty cool that was actually useful. I don't know, maybe they were shoehorning that in by making you take a light, but that was pretty cool. Were you gonna say something, Soul?
No.
Okay. So that's kind of an overview of the map. We talked about a little bit of this before, but one thing is, obviously, in one of the big points of contention in recent events has been the proliferation of multi-stage maps and the fact that, hey guys, we're having a 7-map event, but 4 of them have 2 bars. What do you guys think about that as a whole? Do you think that's kind of just disingenuous and it's not really a 7-event map? Do you not like it at all? Do you think it's fine?
I don't really care about the fact that about multi-phase maps, really. So long as most of them this time you could technically clear with more or less the same ships you use in phase 1 as you did in second phase. Maybe 1 or 2 more DDs here and there. But aside from that, most of the time you could except for E6, but E6 was also the absolute last map you had to worry about. That was the only map where you really had to consider changing out most of your fleet from one to the other, and even then you could still technically just run Carrier Task Force for the whole thing, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like earlier on, the first couple of multi-phase maps where you had to use completely different fleets, that was a bit bad. This event wasn't quite as bad because you could just reuse most of the same ships.
Right. And then let's see. Oh, we talked about E7 enough. I'm not going to go into that anymore. That's kind of just E7 happened. We're just not going to talk about it anymore. We're going to put it up there on the wall next to, summer 2015, and we're going to ignore it.
Yep.
So another thing is, what do you guys think about the event rewards? We got some cool new planes. We got a Seafire. We got Swordfish Mark III if you were cool enough to do hard. We got the Mark IX Spitfire.
Everyone shits on the Swordfish, but I like it. It's not a good plane, mind. The Swordfish 3-S was the only real strong Swordfish. But if I recall correctly, most of the maps that gave out swordfishes usually had a lot better things to give out, and the swordfish just got added on afterwards as like here's this too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
personally,
I remember the E1 meme.
Yeah. Sorry.
E1 hard giving a swordfish while the rest aren't. It's like, lol, swordfish best plane.
Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting now that it makes a little bit more sense. Why? I mean, obviously this was not completely their intention for it, but the kind of split stats on the Swordfish, with Mark III skilled having 4 firepower, 8 torpedo, 10 ASW, it makes a little bit more sense now that all 3 of those play into the Knight formulas.
Yeah, it was one of those. They're not. Keep in mind, of course, from how I understand the math, the Swordfish is still weaker than the actual dedicated.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Night fighters, but from how I understand it, the fact that they're split like so specifically like that, and they're suddenly super high anti-submarine scores, should have tipped us off that they might be important later.
Right. So that's some of the map, and the one thing that I've kind of thought about before is, a lot of some of the older events. Ever since Spring 16, obviously they introduced the land base, mechanic as a whole. And one of the things that personally I feel like, not completely, but I feel like they've almost kind of pigeonholed themselves with that, because it feels like every event they have to give land base planes, right?
Definitely, it's a lot more common for them to be giving out land base planes now. I don't know how much that's based on them just needing land bases for the future map because, for instance, E5. Yes, E5. If you did it on basically any difficulty, they gave you a decent land-based bomber, and if you're new, you're gonna need that for E7.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I mean, obviously land base is now a pretty integral part of the game, but it almost feels a little, I don't know if contrived is the right word, but it feels a little odd that this mechanic that is primarily an event mechanic, and now, since new players are always coming in, they have to give land-based stuff every event because some people might not have it. I mean, it's not really a complaint, it's just kind of an observation, I guess, on my part.
I definitely feel that there is both I want to say a creativity for rewards in that they're giving out things that will be immediately useful. You're running a lot of land bases in events, so crazy, and something that doesn't, in the overall view, break the balance of the normal maps.
Right.
Because you're only limited to using land base on on 6-4 and 6-5, so giving out land base planes isn't going to affect the balance of the rest of the world, whereas super strong carrier planes or BB guns, that's going to upset some of the balance elsewhere.
Right. That's the other side of it as well, is they can't just keep giving out, they can't give out 16 inches every event, at some point it affects the meta of the rest of the game. And then let's see, LBS pigeonhole. Okay, so the next kind of topic, this is an ongoing kind of debate, I guess, but the state of how both the entire Kantai collection community and like our community as English speaking players and this kind of community gathers and distributes info. And obviously the like first step in that chain is the frontliners who are playing, it's your Zui, your Kaima, the people who actually legitimately frontline the event. The moment the patch drops, they are in there. They get a fleet out there, and that's like the first people, and then they're posting information, and there's people restreaming it, of course, so people can watch it. And then it feels like, I mean, not as much this event, but I think either winter or spring, it felt like there was this big kind of black hole where the front lines happened, and anybody who watched the restreams or reads enough Japanese to read the Twitters and stuff, like, knew what was going on, and then there was this big black hole in the middle, and then, like, 2 weeks later, some of the sources started having information. And I think it was a little bit better this time.
I don't know what happened in spring or winter. I was not a mod then, so I don't know what happened, why the Discord side was so slow, and I never worked on Wikia, so I don't know why it was so slow there as well. But definitely a problem with it is you're waiting for a lot of information to stream down, so the more difference there is, the more layers separating the people who end up writing the things and the people who actually see the information as it happens.
Right.
There's a lot of different layers there, so it definitely can. It's a lot of waiting for the layer above to pass on the information. Right.
And I think, obviously, we're not perfect, but it's not the worst it could possibly be. I think a big part of that is, let me phrase it this way. What do you guys think we can do as a community of, English-speaking players and some people who can go on the initial sources? What do you think we can do collectively to make that chain stronger? Or, are there ways? Are we doing the things we need to do already, and we just need to keep doing them and strengthen what we're already trying to do?
Well, the main problem is that a lot of the information perhaps doesn't get reported as quickly, or there's no real consolidation for the information. It's just spread out all over the place. So that definitely makes things a bit difficult when Wikia, Reddit, Discord information writers are trying to gather all the info. If it's spread out on, say, 6 different sources and you can only read 3 of them,
right,
and getting a clear picture of how things should be written and how the guides should be a lot more difficult. I don't know how many, if any, problems Wikia was having, and I don't know if Soul was working with Wikia at the time either, so I don't know if you can comment on that. But definitely, for instance, one of the issues for me at least is definitely I can't read Japanese, so there was no way for me to. It was just all down to waiting for somebody else to translate all the information into something I could use.
Soul, do you have any input on the wiki side or anything, maybe?
Not on the wiki side, but like I think if you want like better information distribution, you would kind of want better transparency between the Japanese and English side. But that's like a hard thing to do, so I don't
Right.
know how that would work.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is you have the frontline info, which obviously I mean I made a document this time to record frontline compositions, but there's a difference between the frontline guys who go in and you can get good like the maps and the nodes and rewards and things like that, but they're freaking. Can I say that on? I can say this on YouTube. They're slapping their dick on the fucking map with like full married ships with expansions with damage goddesses on them to the point where they don't actually care how good or bad their comp is. They're not optimized. So you get a lot of good initial info, I feel like, but it takes a lot more time to find
Routing info.
exactly,
God.
especially routing, because
Debuff.
yeah.
Nobody figured out debuff for E4. If there was a debuff on E4, we never found it.
Yeah. So, and that was kind of the next point. But you have the point of the front lines where you can get what the maps are like, but then routing is a clusterfuck until people start actually testing it. Ideal comps are a clusterfuck until people start testing it, and like that. So, I think we do an okay job, I think, and we're getting better at getting frontline info, but then we just don't have. I mean, obviously we got enough info in time for people to do the event, but I think we can speed it up if we want to put the time into it.
It's hard to say because a lot of the problems incurred, like I said, is just lack of data
Right.
and lack of it being consolidated. And the main issue is there's not a lot of people in general, in the totality, who are willing to do the testing and whatnot.
That's a good point too.
This event, I feel like, was a bit bad with the routing and the debuff information, simply because nobody was. It was a large-scale event, so nobody was really willing to risk.
That's a good
locking
point.
ships
Yeah,
early.
you don't want to fuck up your locks on hard and then be screwed. So
The few people who could afford to do it, it was based. There's not a lot of them either.
right.
So obviously they can only get so much data collected if there's only 4 people testing, routing, debuff, and everything.
Right. And
So definitely, perhaps, maybe it'll be easier on smaller scale events. Having more people test out routes and routing information could be useful.
right. Yeah, when you have like 3 locks on a small event, you can run half your fucking fleet onto a lock if you need to test stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And then kind of related to that, misinformation that starts getting spread, which is, in a game like this where you have to figure everything out yourself, one person says something and then 5 people hear it and start telling it, and 25 people then think it's true. But of course, just everybody just needs to remember to be careful with stuff if it's not confirmed. Like, oh, there's a debuff on E4, or somebody says, oh, there might be a debuff on E4, and then somebody's like, hey guys, I heard there's a debuff on E4. What is it? And they're like, wait, there's a debuff on E4?
Not giving any names, but it definitely is easy to hype up any chance that might make one of some of the especially more difficult maps easier.
Right.
And obviously, human instinct upon hearing, oh, this might be a bit easier, is to obviously let others know or shout it from the rooftops.
Right.
Which, in some ways, actually, from my guess, could complicate information gathering, because eventually there's a possibility you get a recursive loop of information where somebody says there might be something. It gets misinterpreted as there is something.
Exactly.
It spreads around, it gets back to the first people who said there might be something. So now they're stuck trying to make sure that there is actually either something or nothing there, rather than just kind of shelving it to the side.
Right. So I think that's kind of a pretty good. We've gone through a lot of stuff on Summer Event. You know, I thought it was a fun event. You know, interesting stuff. Got some cool new stuff, cool new ships. I didn't have a new
Seafire now.
That's
all that matters to me.
I didn't have a new ship section in there. We're gonna zoom through this real quick. Hold on. So let's see. Hatakaze, new kamikaze class. Okay, expedition slave. Richelieu. She's okay. She's
Best fast battleship in my opinion.
Is she? Yeah. What are her stats like? Soul? Is she? How does she compare to Kongo?
She's like Haruna level firepower, but she's fairly tanky actually. She seems to be quite good actually, if you ask me. And like, anyone who's altered guns reduce range, they don't, because that's not how range works.
Yeah, the main thing to keep in mind for Richelieu is that although on paper her stats are just for firepower lower or equal to Haruna's, I can't remember the exact numbers, she's also miles tougher, and it seems as of currently she may have fit with the 41 centimeter class guns. It's still being tested, of course. Last time I checked, they're just starting to test the gun fits for everything, but just from personal anecdote, I do notice that she seems to be definitely getting some sort of accuracy. She's not getting a penalty when I stick 2 41 centimeter prototypes on her to her and send her off.
Oh, okay, so stat-wise, like, when comparing her to Hiei, which is the tankiest of the Congos, she has, how much is it? 7 more armor and 14 more health.
Yeah, so she's definitely tankier than the, like, I guess what you would call the baseline fast battleships.
Yeah, and she's also not much more expensive to run than the baseline either, if I recall correctly.
Right.
She's 10. She costs 10 more in both ammo and I'm kind of I was comparing it with the Kai form, so.
Oh yeah, 80.
No, that explains why it was so much. But it's HP difference and 1 armor for Hiei, which is actually quite significant when considering map like 5-5.
Right.
Yeah, and all she does in comparison for being tougher and possibly having a better gun fit is she eats 5 more ammo.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a fail by me.
Yeah. So, pretty interesting stuff there. Let's see what else we got. We got 2 stupid trophy destroyers that nobody cares about. I just triggered some people.
Hey, you triggered me.
Do you have anything to say about the new?
First of all, I really like Amagiri's design from a character perspective. Second of all, she rammed JFK. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
She's pretty significant. She marooned JFK on an island, and if I recall correctly, some of the wounds he suffered as a result did end up staying with him for quite a bit of his life.
Yeah, I went and read that whole backstory. That was pretty interesting. They got marooned on the island and had to get some like natives to bring a coconut with stuff ground into it to a naval base or something.
Yeah, he had to do all that because he wouldn't leave the wounded men on his ship behind. So
right. So that's pretty interesting. We have a new destroyer escort. Hold up. We have a new escort ship. Don't wanna get that confused here. New Kaibokan. There we go. Okay.
Escort
official
Wally.
name. Yeah. Which is it's another free E1 lock.
Just like best one in terms of ASW now. Actually able to opening ASW at level 1.
Oh, she is? Holy crap.
Yeah, she comes with 37 base ASW, so 2 T4 is enough to bring her to 60.
That's actually hilarious.
That's dumb.
And then we have the new submarine, Luigi, who then turns into a German and then a Japanese ship. So that was that. I mean, not too much. I mean, people are comparing her, I guess, to Ro, right? For in terms of having a slightly higher evasion or something.
I
guess-
don't actually know that.
Oh wait, they don't have the numbers on there. Never mind, ignore me. But she can AACI, which is totally irrelevant thing. I swear.
I'm sure.
She can also kick drums at Kai Plus.
Right. Did they fix that yet? Did they actually count on 5-4?
I don't know. She's slow, so you won't bring her anyways.
Right. Okay, and then we have. Sorry, go ahead.
So oops. But 2 comes with 1 less ASW than I thought, so she can't actually at level 1, so it's level 3.
Oh no.
It's only level 3.
Okay.
Yeah, only level 3. Sad face.
So then we have the actual map or the actual event final reward, Arc Royal.
Arc Royal is best carrier. Fight me.
So I
no, not really. But
I mean, obviously she's not the best carrier, but I don't mind her slots. I mean, I think she has an interesting setup for 2 bomber, 2 fighter. For
she's one of the few
20, yeah.
Yeah, especially now that Saratoga K2's out, she's one of the few ships that are optimized for just having opening strike slot with the ability to still pack enough fighters to make getting AS or AS Plus pretty easy. So she's kind of like she fills a similar role to Saratoga in my opinion, just with lower stats and more emphasis on packing bombers and fighters.
Best carrier because swordfish.
No, she's best carrier because she wears shorts. Get it right. Come on, guys.
Swordfish best plane.
So there's a quick overview of the new ships. So that was I think that was a pretty good overview. We went over the maps, the rewards, kind of how the community reacted to the event. A lot of good stuff there. So next we will get into our first focus section, the history corner. Y7, what do you have for us today?
Oh my god. So first of all, this is going to be a quick one because first episode and all. So
do you have any visual aids you want me to pull up?
Actually just pull up the formations on Kantai Collection's system. On the Kantai Collection wiki because I'm really only going to be talking about formations today.
Okay.
Basically, mostly because if you want to get an idea of why, well, I'm going to be talking about ships later, but if you want to get an idea of how ships were designed around, you kind of have to get an understanding of how they were expected to fight. And you can't really do that if we don't talk about formations. So that's where we're going to start, from the basics. Now, in Kantai Collection, you have your 6 formations: line ahead, double line, diamond, echelon. Shit, was it 6 or 5?
It's 5.
It's 5.
Line abreast.
Line abreast. Yeah. I don't know why I said 6. I'm really out of it. So, the main thing keeping in mind is that in Kantai Collection, you're looking at it from left to right. The right side being the lead ship. So, in line ahead, they're actually all streaming ahead, straight ahead in a single formation. So, that's the reason why you have the damage modifiers as is for the ships is supposedly for line ahead, this goes all the way back to Age of Sail. The reason why you go in a single line is because you can get all your guns pointing on the side.
Right.
So you can get the most firepower onto one target. This is where crossing the T comes in because you want it so that your broadside is facing the front of the enemy ships because they can't get as many of their forward-facing guns looking at you. They're all stuck behind the front ship. So that's where Kantai Collection's line ahead being good at surface damage comes from, as well as how the green tea mechanics are supposed to work. Obviously, in game, green tea makes everyone stronger for some reason, red tea makes everyone weaker, and head-on, parallel, it affects everyone on the map globally. We don't really know. Well, we know why.
I mean, like, if green tea was like realistic or red tea for you, then wouldn't that make like cyan like something you had to bring if you could?
Yeah, realistically, green tea would mean that you're getting current green tea damage bonus, and the enemy are getting the abyssals are getting the red tea.
Right. So
penalty.
really, the green tea in the game should really be parallel, right?
Parallel just means both sides are lined up.
Right. So, but I mean, if you're thinking about like having the damage buff, wouldn't parallel technically mean both sides should get the damage buff?
Both sides
Realistically speaking, green tea, the other side can't do as much damage.
Right. Exactly.
It's not.
So-
It doesn't actually increase the damage you do. It's just like your opponent can't bring as many guns there.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
can't bring as many guns to bear, so their technical damage output is reduced.
Right.
So the damage percentage kind of works in that sense. It's just the fact it applies to everyone. And of course, double line is used. All the other formations are actually used pretty close to what they are in real life. Line, except for double line, which is supposed to be only for escort, and you're supposed to get back into the single line formation, or any of the other formations when you're actually doing something. Historically speaking, echelon's an interesting one, because in real life, I think echelon was used for. Let me just quickly take a look. More for it's a search column. Because most of your ships are not, their lines of sight aren't as obstructed.
Right.
Because it's on the center of everyone. So Echelon's supposed to have really good searching without interrupting anybody's damage potential. So you can kind of see that in the multipliers in game. It's just that Echelon is kind of shitty at everything. It's not really good. So
Nothing like exactly good. So it's there kind of.
Yeah, Echelon kind of represents a real life where it's not really good at anything combat related, but if you're trying to find something, it technically works best, but it's not really good at anything. Aside from that, the other only formation of note is the fact that Diamond isn't actually, as far as I know, something that was really used frequently by Japan in World War II.
It actually wasn't. It was actually mostly used by the US.
Yeah.
With their carrier task.
It was a US formation and not even an early war formation. It was only really once you got carrier task force coming in strong did they actually start coming up with the idea of diamond formation. So it's interesting to see it in game as one of the basic formations because it really wasn't.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, so it's definitely weird. Of course, now that you kind of have a rough idea of how the ships are supposed to fight, I'm probably going to start talking more about how each ship historically was designed and how they actually fought it out. Probably starting from Nagato. She's number one ship anyways. Or I can just go with bias and just start picking with the ships from age, which means I still have to start with Congo.
So and then line abreast is accurate, right?
Older? Gangut is older than...
Congo is still older than Gangunt, if I recall correctly.
Is she? No,
Yeah.
I thought... Is she? What?
Well,
Yeah, no, I
Congo
swear
was-
she's older.
Congo was World War One, right?
Yeah, no, both Congo, Gangunt, and
Launched
Gordon
1912.
White do this.
Ganguth was launched.
Here we are. So we're going by commission dates.
1911. Oh, commission date. Oh, okay.
We're going by commission dates. Commission dates. Launch just means the ship was. This is going to be important.
Right.
Launch just the hull is now in the water. It doesn't mean the ship has finished maybe having all the guns installed. Maybe there's a few problems above the waterline they still have to fix. So launch just means the hull is complete. It floats. The engine probably works. The turbines are probably steaming. But it doesn't mean necessarily it's complete.
So let's see.
Commission is
Yeah.
when it was actually done.
So yeah, Congo was commissioned 1913, and Ganguts and Warspite were both commissioned 1915. Interesting.
Yeah. So she's
Oh,
still
I see.
just a bit older. Shit. I guess certain people are going to be pretty happy I have to talk about Congo first.
So, and then just to
Congo.
just to finish getting through and then line abreast is accurate because you're just
The
dumping
line
a bunch of shit off the back and the sides,
Yeah,
right?
the main reason you use line abreast realistically is because the thing is, even though most of the sonar was pointed forward,
Okay.
the sound of the propellers going through the water was enough to actually disrupt most sonar.
Okay.
Or not sonar, most hydrophones and everything. So sonar would get you the rough idea of where the submarine was. So you just needed it disrupted all the other non-sonar based equipment, which is why all the ships were next to each other to minimize the chances of that happening, on top of also maximizing the spread pattern of their own anti-submarine equipment.
Right. Huh. Cool. Good stuff. So, you got anything else, or is that a wrap for episode 1 history
pretty
section?
much all the rough things you need to know about formation. Now, this is of course on a podcast. I did this in like 6-7 minutes. So obviously there's going to be a bit of gaps here and there for the information, but it gives you a good rough idea of everything coming.
Yeah, well, don't worry. We're gonna get haters no matter what on our accuracy. So, let's see. Okay, so next up we have the stats corner with Soul. What do you got for us?
I didn't actually have time to prepare something because I was a bit more busy than usual. So it's like, do you have any questions? You maybe.
Let's see. What questions do we have?
Let's talk about CV carrier cut-ins.
Do we really know enough about that for now? There's like there are 3 known setups, whereas like only 2 of them are really actually practical, and it's like that.
Right. I think especially for I think cut-ins will have to wait a little bit longer. I mean, the stuff's mostly locked down, but I obviously haven't run the numbers personally, and I don't know if anyone's run the numbers to the point where, okay, if I'm taking 2 torpedo bombers versus a torpedo bomber and a dive bomber, if my expected damage output is my opening airstrike and then a cut-in attack, which one of those is actually higher? Obviously, if you get the good cut-in, your shelling damage could be higher, but are you sacrificing, too much in your opening? And does that depend on which of the 2 opening strikes you roll for your torpedo bomber? I don't know. So,
if you would use carry cut, then currently the only times I've used it is like when I can't top up the fighter for the Corsair. So, because it still gives a good amount of air power, so I can run 3 bombers instead of only 2 then, and a fighter. So it's like, when I can run it, I do, but it's not something I would say is like, you have to.
Right. I think it's interesting, though, that, of course, it's post-cap like all the other cut-ins, but carriers already do so much shelling damage that we'll have to see, is this worth it? Cool, so I think we'll... Oh, man, this is getting really long, actually, but that's fine. So let's go into a little bit of a look ahead. Do you guys have any kind of stuff you hope to see in fall event, stuff you think we'll see in fall event, anything like that?
There's not a lot. The only real evidence for fall event is the 2 DDs we have right now. So it's hard to say what to expect. Personally, I still hope for for a Task Force Z based event, but we already sank Task Force Z back in summer.
What was Task Force Z?
Task Force Z was Prince of Wales, Repulse, and a few destroyers, and it's kind of major. First battleship sunk entirely by air power.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Happened only 2 days after Pearl Harbor. So largest Allied ship sunk.
Interesting.
Or largest Allied battleship, I think.
Before these destroyers got announced, I was kind of off the cuff predicting that fall would be U.S. based. I'm not as sure about that anymore, but I still think it would be interesting, and I think it would be kind of cool if they did a U.S. based event. But we'll see what happens. Sol, you got any predictions or hopes for fall?
Well, I'm not sure if this will be for fall event. Like, I'm guessing Off is like going to get the K2 soon because like the Stuka apparently has files about Night Battle, but they're not actually used currently. So I'm guessing they would be related to her Kaini.
Right. That's a good point, actually, too. And then, kind of leading off of that point, I don't. I mean, I don't. We don't have any other. Do we have? Okay, well, rephrase this. Do we have any other news about future K2s that has been said, like, oh, we're getting another battleship? Is any of that confirmed right now?
Isn't there like another K2 for a battleship announced?
I faintly recall there being a press release saying they were going to do 2 battleship K2s some year, but I don't know what the source is. I only have faint recollections of it. Don't quote me on it. But I remember there was at least one interview that talked about the planned K2s for the upcoming year. So I don't know where the source is, though.
Right. Yeah, I think that might have been a tweet that was talking about it, and I can't remember what came out, if it was in the end like, oh, this is actually talking about more than one, or this could be interpreted as more than one. So somebody might have to fact check us on that one. But I think it'd be cool to see a Mutsu K2, if you know, assuming that it would be her and not, you know, Issei or Hyuga. But
I don't think they're giving another BBV K2.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's see what else. What other K2s? Well, we haven't finished the Sashio class yet, have we? We had what, 2 more of those to do?
Oh God, I do not want to have to deal with more BPK2 destroyers.
I want fucking Kagado class, man. Like, give us some of those.
I want like frickin' Yugumo K2s already.
I would honestly be fine with more Shiratsuyu class also. I mean, a lot of people, obviously nobody in the, you know, Reddit Discord community, okay, nobody. Less people in the Reddit and Discord community shit on K2 designs than people do on JP, but I swear to God, 99% of JP fucking hated Kawakaze K2, and I kind of like it, so I don't know. Let's see. I would like to see some. Is it Agano class, or is she the name ship? It's not Noshido. It should be Agano.
Yeah,
class.
Agano.
Okay, yeah. Couldn't remember who the name ship was, but I think K2s of those would be kind of interesting.
I guess the main issue is light cruisers don't really do much in the current meta,
right,
or at least in the current game design. Perhaps after the HTML5, they might update game mechanics or something at the same time. But it would be weird for them to give a straight combat light cruiser K2.
That's
because
true.
we already have Mitsu and Abukuma for that. Squeaks.
Yeah. We'll have to see how that turns out. And then, I don't know, Cardiv 1's never getting K2s. Yamato's never getting a K2. What else? I don't know. I can't even think of anything else off the top of my head, but it'll be interesting to see to see some more. I think the Suzu class K2s were interesting, but kind of annoying that they're 2 BPs, but I thought that was kind of an interesting design choice, so.
Isn't it only 1 BP for Kumano, 2 for Suzuya?
It's 2 for both if you want the CVL version.
Yeah. It's 2 for both, unfortunately. I'm currently leveling my dupes, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, we've had some interesting stuff. We've had some slightly underwhelming stuff, but we'll see what happens with those in the future. So, I think that's about all we had planned. Thanks for watching. Anybody who is watching, we'll see how many views we get on this. Go ahead and leave us comments. I'll obviously be posting this on Reddit. Leave us comments either on YouTube or on Reddit or wherever you see this. On both our format of it. This is the first time we've done this. We threw this together in half an hour. Anything on our content?
Is that really something you want to admit on air?
I mean,
well, there's no point in not playing it. Then, like, next time you can probably expect me not to fail as much, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get our shit together next time more. If there is a next time, if there's enough response to this. And if you have any comments on our content, call us out on bullshit that we were spewing. Let us know stuff you would like us to talk about, either for like kind of areas of topics, historical stuff you'd like to hear about, stats stuff you'd like to hear about. And we, assuming this does continue, we would like to try to get some guests on here, either people who know their shit better than we do, or people who are, big names in the community. So if you think you'd like to see somebody on here, or you are one of those people and would like to be on here, get in contact with us. I think that's about all I have. You guys want to say anything?
Not really, no. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Okay, well, everybody, thanks for watching episode 1 of KC Insight, and we will see you next time if it happens.